All right, the center point of this position, of this instructional, is going to be all about this position that I don't really have a great name for because it's had so many names. The one that I tend to use the most is either going to be Russian Cowboy, which isn't even my name. I got it at a Gary Tonin seminar when Gary Tonin was teaching, I think he called it Double Trouble back then. Somebody else in the audience was like, oh, that's Russian Cowboy. And for whatever reason, the name made me laugh, and I stuck with it. And so my reasoning later for Natasha of calling it Russian Cowboy, because this is literally just, I've used this name based on someone else saying something at a seminar from a third person, is that Sambo is from Russia, right? And when you do this, like, you kind of look like a cowboy, right? This is the head of the horse, and like you're riding the horse. So like Russian Cowboy is where, that's how I think of the name and how I've ever used it. And so it's evolved. Our good friends at King Knee Bar, Bendy and Katie, I think they call this position or something very similar to it, the Drysdale, because they had learned it from Robert Drysdale. I also took some Robert Drysdale classes, and I think he called it the butt flop. So, as I like to say about leg locks, naming conventions in leg locks tend to be very, very not standard. The same way that if you go to the doctor and you get medicine, you have standardized names of medicine, right? You're getting acetaminophen or Tylenol standard. Whereas like if you go to a rave, what they're selling there is not standardized in naming conventions because leg locks are like the street drugs of jiu-jitsu. They're not really standardized. They're not, this is the only name. And it gets even worse when you get into the submission names. So just, I'm going to call it Russian Cowboy or topside knee bar interchangeably throughout this instructional. Just know that this is not by any means the only name for this. But for me, the position itself has become so valuable to me as a waypoint. And the key bits of it for me are I really want to have my body as wide as possible, my hand is wide, and my leg is wide. If we rotate around here, you're going to see something that's important. I want my leg wide and I want my hand wide. Why is that? Because I'm going to give myself as much width as humanly possible while I'm going to kind of keep my hand on this knee. You can go different places with this. There are people who will grab the free leg. There are people that will use their wrist. There are people that will put their hand in their hip. Then there's reasons for all of these different variations. My main care when I'm doing it is that I want to put weight through my right hip bone. I don't want to sit square on my cheeks because your glutes are muscles and fat. They spread your weight out, and it's really not as bad on your partner, and your partner will be much more comfortable here. Not to mention that while you're here, they're able to move you a bit more easily, pummel their feet in to behind your legs and attack you, all kinds of bad things, whether they be taking your back or going to butterfly ashi, crab ride, to crab ride. Bad things generally happen when you're square. I'll occasionally still use it, but for me, being as wide as humanly possible and keeping this knee off the mat are my main concerns in this position. There's a whole host of things that Natasha can do to cause me problems here, but I want to first just get used to this idea and paying attention to where this foot is. When I'm hunting knee bars, this foot will tend to be on this side, closer to the trapped leg. Sometimes even underneath it, I tend to stay on my arch for balance. I don't like to really fully wrap it up because I lose balance. I like to be here on my arch or even flat on my foot. Conversely, when I'm thinking of leaving the position, I tend to put my foot towards the free leg. It gives me the freedom to slide over here, and I have room to transition into saddle for things like heel hooks. So where I have my inside leg located kind of tells me where I'm thinking, whether it's being more trying to keep the leg or more trying to free the leg. The width is to also avoid things like Natasha capturing this foot, because she pulls it over, it loses my balance, but also she can slide it all the way over, and if you turn and see, she can now start attacking my legs. It's kind of hard to see right there, but there it is. So I have bad problems coming from me right there. So in general, this position right here is going to be where we're going to be coming back to very, very frequently. So have your hand on the floor, foot on the floor, think about it, Russian Cowboy or topside knee bar position. That's it.